All right. Thank you, Charles. Thanks, guys, for joining us today. Would anybody like, I know Charles introduced everybody, but does everybody want to take a moment and just introduce themselves and just say what they're doing recently? If we want to start with Alexandria.
Hi.
Hello.
That's perfect. Perfect.
Thanks, Evan.
Great intro, right?
I am Alexandra Nowell. I'm the brewmaster and director of brewing operations at Three Weavers in Los Angeles. We've been around for coming up on 7 years, but this is not my first rodeo. I'm an early adopter of the Dorado hop. It's been one of my favorite hops for a long time. The first time I had the opportunity to brew with it was actually with Mitch Steele from Stone Brewing Company, and we were doing a collaboration, 2012. It dates me a little bit, but just hearing about this exciting new hop variety, and we just really wanted to know how to use it. And once I was able to bring that hop into the beer, I was like, okay, I need to know more. And now Dorado finds a home in our flagship, in addition to a lot of the beers that we produce on a daily basis at Three Weavers. So, and I'm an IPA brewer through and through, but like a very West Coast IPA brewer. I like to say I'm a born and bred California brewer. Thanks, Evan.
Awesome. Andrew Brunson. There you go, mate. Oh, still on mute, bud. There you go. There you go, mate. Right. There you go, mate.
Cool. Figuring it out.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully a better brewer than I am with a Zoom call. Yeah, so I'm over here at the Guam Brewery. And it's been really great to actually be able to get our stuff like directly from the US and like being abroad, even though we're, just south of Japan. Couple of good things. We just dropped a double dry hop, double IPA, called Hop Jutsu, which was absolutely killer. The IPA we dropped before that was a collab with all the other breweries on island, with proceeds going to the Micronesia Conservation Association to help protect the sea life out this way. And that had a bunch of Dorado in it. And that was I think my second or third time using it, and it turned out great.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Avi, tell me about yourself.
Yeah, so we make some beers under the names Mahanakhon and Civilai over in Thailand, although we've just started brewing in Thailand. Actually, we contract brew, and most of the beers we make have been in like Taiwan and Vietnam. We made a couple beers in Australia, but just recently we kind of started going in on pale ales and IPAs. We really just wanted to give a foundation of, decent craft beer for entry-level Thai drinkers. And so we started off with white ales and like kind of barely hoppy lagers. So in our new pale ale, it's kind of a showcase for Dorado. It really kind of ties the room together. We were looking for something, it's not just Citra really. Like we really want fruitiness, but a counterpoint that's something a little more unique, something a little more stone fruit. So yeah, Dorado is just really like kind of tying the room together with that beer. And yeah, I can't wait to just try some more beers with them. But
cool. Awesome. All right. And lastly, Evan, tell us a little about yourself.
Yeah. Hi. I'm Evan Price with Green Cheek Beer Company. We are a brewery that's coming up onto 4 years of being in business. And yeah, we have 2 locations. Both spots are breweries. We make a lot of IPA is mainly what we do, probably 70 or so percent. I don't know. That's totally random, by the way. That's not like an actual, like, I didn't look at the books to figure that out. But yeah, and it's a range of, we do a lot of West Coast IPA and a lot of Hazy IPA. So everything that we do for the most part is direct to consumer. We can beers, we put them in kegs, we make beer. I don't know what else to say. That's us.
Cool. Awesome. All right. I'll just say like a quick word about myself. I'm James Waters. I'm originally from New Jersey. I've been in here in Hong Kong now for 5 years. Running a brewery for a couple years. I just started my own consulting business around here in Southeast Asia, and I mean I've had a chance to use El Dorado. Some of my comments I'll discuss later on how I feel about El Dorado and stuff like that. And yeah, so let's get moving on, guys. All right. So we all kind of just talked about ourselves. So I'm going to go around the room again, and I'm going to ask everybody, like, what is their approach to recipe formulation? Necessarily also grain when it comes to picking your hops when you're choosing specifically for an IPA. Okay, so Alexandra, if you'd like to start.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I talk about recipe formulation on a regular basis, and it's usually driven by a specific ingredient where you want to really understand what the ingredient can do and then further how to manipulate its qualities in the future. So when it comes to any sort of new hop, we like to go heavy-handed on the hop. And when it comes to the grist side of it, we go as simple as possible. It's going to be a 2-row barley, maybe a tiny bit of wheat just for like head retention or a tiny bit of sweetness. But for the most part, we keep it as simple as possible. And you just want to see what the hop can do. You push the boundaries of it and then figure out whether or not you've gone far enough or if you need to dial it back. But even just not even talking about hops, but in general as a recipe formulator, I am very ingredient driven. I like to see what something can do. And that's what excites me the most about making new beers is how to figure out like how a certain new ingredient or unused ingredient or something new to me expresses itself the best way in the beer.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. We'll go Avi. You're right below. How about you?
Yeah, so we just kind of really want to diversify our portfolio of beers. And I know that sounds kind of almost corporate or something, but we really just want to showcase to Thai people who are really getting into craft beer just now. Because I mean, I'm from LA and I love pale ales and IPAs all day. If I could choose just to make beer for myself, it would just be that. But yeah, I mean, hops, it's a component in our overall product, right? So, you know, we have some pretty simple beers like just a white ale or a lager. Even the lager showcases some nice hops like Mosaic and Simcoe. But in general, it's kind of about balance for us, not just kind of explosive flavor or anything. And honestly, that's why I really like El Dorado, because it's not just that like smash you in the face with citrus or any one note. It's a pretty interesting dynamic when combined with other hops. And so I think we're definitely going to use that as like a staple hop around some other, like when we finally do a hazy IPA or maybe even another like wheat beer with watermelon focus. But in general, yeah, we kind of like to stick to simple but solid malt and hop bills. So nothing too crazy, yeah.
Cool. All right. Andrew?
How I brew beer, I guess it's changed a lot. I've been in the industry for about 10 years now. So I remember like 10 years ago, all those IPAs were like super piney and resinous, and that was what everybody was going for. And I mean, that's what we did. We didn't even really dry hop that much. We just, you know, bombed the whirlpool really good. But definitely over that 10 years, it's changed completely the other way around, where, you know, hardly using any bittering hops at all, and then just kind of rocketing all that beer into the fermenter for the dry hop, and especially with the biotransformation and everything, keeping an eye on that. And I guess in the last couple of years, the reason I've been like looking out for more hops like El Dorado and a couple of the other ones that are just coming out is because it seems like all these beers have been like, it's Citra and it's Mosaic, and that's what you get. And that's 70% of all the IPAs out here that right now that are selling. So looking into stuff like El Dorado has been really nice to just kind of still keep with that tropical fruit forward hop profile that's delicious and I love, but to kind of like mix it up a little bit and have a little bit more fun than just like Citra bombing at an IPA.
Awesome. Yeah. Good. Evan, want to take this one?
Yeah. Hey, I think for brewing philosophy, I think fresh beer ends up being maybe the most important thing for us, where we just try to give people the beer as fast as possible the moment that it's ready, and we try to keep these really tight windows so that you are drinking something that is made within a 1 to 2 week period is typically like what you'll get when you come to Green Cheek, so that we are constantly just like keeping that going. And so I mean, from a sort of perspective of trying to continue to keep that going, we also have this like direct to consumer model, and I think that helps like promote what that is. But outside of that, I mean, I think I'm with Alex for the most part. I kind of echo a lot of what she said, where it's just like, what ingredient are we trying to feature and how do we want to highlight it? And so a lot of times, I end up in that same boat as her, where it's just trying to think about, what we're making and how we want to move forward with it. It's such a vague question that I could probably ramble on for far too long about what this is, then like, and none of us want that. And so instead it's, when it comes to IPAs in general, we are keeping a very low color, very simple malt bill. For West Coast IPA, it's Pilsner malt. And for Hazy IPA, it's a range of just low colored malts, from rolled oats to unmalted wheat to Pilsner malt, and then also to even Brewers crystals, in order to really drive the color so low that it looks more like a Belgian white than it does a Hazy IPA. Yeah, I don't know. Did I answer that question? I feel like maybe I didn't, but I don't know. You let me know.
No, you answered it perfect. Yeah. I'll just end with two. I think we've all been in the industry long enough that we remember when malt bills were driven slowly by color. It was at some 20, 40, 60, whatever, and we built up that malt color profile that way. And we learned that over time, when the hops fade, that malt profile really just shines through, and you could just tell when it. And now it's changed the other way, where the malt is just like you all said, just base malt, some wheat, oats, and really that's it, and let the hop shine. And now with the everything is mostly dry hop, or at least late Whirlpool editions. When those fade off, that malt will come up, and we want to try to keep that from happening. And I also then tend to just a personal opinion, for hazy IPAs, anything that's more like darker than straw, like straw yellow, kind of just doesn't look right to me. It looks like muddy water to me, and I just like my hazies like nice and bright and yellow. So
when it comes to so we do a lot of sensory on our beers. We have a really formal sensory panel here at Three Weavers. When we're doing these really fresh, bright, new explorations of hop varieties, when you look at the aromatic descriptors of the beers themselves, 9 times out of 10, no one is going into anything that's cereal or malt profile wise. It's all hops. Like, you're never seeing any sort of biscuit or toast or like graham cracker. That never happens. It's all about the hop. So yeah, it's just focus on the hop and let's see what it can do.
Yeah. All right, guys. So next question is, do you guys have any best use tips for brewing with El Dorado? And what did you do in your first or early brews that you perhaps would do differently or keep the same? Alex, we'll start again with you.
Okay, So the first time I made a beer with El Dorado, we went really heavy on it. It was an El Dorado Centennial Pale Ale. And we went pretty close to 2 pounds per barrel in the dry hop with it just to see what it could do, which is what I think is a really good indication. We tend to do about 1 pound per barrel in the whirlpool, and then we'll do 2 pounds or more, depending on the style of beer to see what it can do on the dry hop. But it was, I think that like my relationship with El Dorado has moved a bit, and it's not necessarily based off of how we produce our beer. It's how I select the hop. So it's learning about when it's picked, what it's supposed to smell like when it's picked, and when I prefer as a brewer, going towards the later side of the harvest window of El Dorado as a hop, which gets a lot deeper than just brewing with it. But we use El Dorado in both the hot side and in the cold side. Not all hops I would use on both sides of it. I like El Dorado because it does have a really high alpha, and we don't do a lot of upfront bittering additions. So you're not getting a lot of our bitterness from that like typical 60-minute add in Three Weavers beer. It comes in the whirlpool. We get a ton of utilization of alpha acid in our whirlpool. So you go heavy on El Dorado in a whirlpool, you're not only capturing the aroma and the flavor, you're also capturing some of the bitterness. And then we're not using El Dorado necessarily as a standalone hop in our dry hops, but I find that so let's use Expatriate IPA. It's our flagship West Coast IPA. It's 50% of our production here. It's Simcoe, Mosaic, El Dorado. The Simcoe and Mosaic have there's so many differences between the two. They tend to sit at the spectrum of like new age American hops, the opposite sides of the spectrum. We select them for very different reasons. El Dorado tends to fill in the middle, and it like kind of melds everything together. It tends to glue the hop characters together in a way where it allows everything to express itself in a way that the Simcoe or El Dorado couldn't have done on its own. And I think that what I like about it, and it might just be who I am as a brewer, what I like as a beer drinker, it tends to soften it and round it out. And when I talk about El Dorado, I talk about a candied character to the citrus that comes through. And I think that it does that to like the Simcoe and the Mosaic and what we're brewing. And this sweetness, it's not that bubblegum sweet aromatic thing that's going on, but it definitely provides this like sweet citrus candied thing to everything, which when I put El Dorado in a beer, I can pick it out, and I love it. I love it. It's just, it tastes good. It smells good. It feels good.
It made me think of, like when you just said candied, it made me think of those little candied apricots you'd buy in the bag. It's exactly what, like, yeah.
And we do, so we do, and actually just one last thing, because like as
Sorry,
Evan said, I could go on forever and ever and ever,
Okay.
maybe a little bit too long.
We
But
got
we
plenty
talk
of
about
time.
like melon. So like it's only been recently that we've been able to pull the watermelon character out of El Dorado, and it's typically with the in hazy beers, where you're using an English strain of yeast and you're relying on the biotransformation. When we dry hop our beers, they typically happen on a hazy beer about 2 degrees before terminal. There's a lot that's going on with the oils in the hop and the fermentation of the beer, where we've been able to pull up these really awesome melon characteristics, but they only come in our hazy beers and not in our West Coast beers. So I think the yeast choice has a lot to do with that really cool, sweet watermelon character you can get out of it.
Nice.
And now I'm done. You can switch to Avi.
Go ahead, Avi.
Yeah, so actually I kind of didn't even do a lot of research on El Dorado. I kind of stumbled on it when I was making a beer that had Huel melon. I kind of wanted melon to be the focus of one beer, but to pair it off with something kind of resinous. So it was like an Equinaut and melon pale ale, Huel melon. I guess there's another word for that, like Hallertau melon. But yeah, and it was kind of lacking in a couple dimensions. And then when I started reading about El Dorado, it was like, all right, I got to try this because I'm hearing a lot of watermelon. And that's what I was kind of going for. I didn't get much of the watermelon, but it definitely filled in a lot of gaps. And I was like, whoa, this is super interesting. So I did a pale ale with Citra and El Dorado. And that was just, that like blew my socks off. So I kind of wanted to make our Mahanakhon pale ale a little more like West Coasty than that recipe. So tweaking the malt bill a bit. And then I decided on going El Dorado and Columbus. And that for me was like awesome. You got the really dank notes from Columbus, and then El Dorado was just adding a lot of that fruit, but like it's not tropical fruit to me in the way that many people think about tropical fruit. Like first time I met Andrew, he was living in Vietnam and I'm in Thailand. So that's kind of tropical as fuck. Like that's as tropical as it gets. We think papaya and pineapple, and it wasn't really that. It was just kind of this really nice, almost apricot-y, jammy sort of sweetness. And yeah, it was just so good that we did it for the pale ale. And yeah, again, thinking about like having a hazy with it. A lot of the notes I'm getting today, I'm probably gonna use on a future beer, but yeah, that's my experience with it.
Nice. All right. Andrew, next to you, bud.
Yeah, I've only tried it with like probably no more than about 30% of my my total hop bill. On the last beer we did, the Manhita, that was yeah, it was about a third of the hop bill, a little bit more heavily skewed into throwing the El Dorado into the whirlpool because, like as Alex said, it does have that high alpha acid content, and we were looking for a little bit bitterness because it was a hazy, so we didn't have any bittering charge into it at all. But that high alpha acid content definitely came through in the end with a little bit of conversion you could get out of the whirlpool, and it came out great. And like I said, like I'm always looking around for new hops that kind of fit that fruitier profile that aren't just Citra and Mosaic. So it was El Dorado, Motueka, and Mosaic in there, and it was a chill as hell beer, man. It was a great 7%er. It was awesome.
Evan?
Can you repeat the question?
The question is basically, what is your experience using El Dorado in your beers, and what did you do first, and what would you change or not change in the future?
Yeah, my first experience using El Dorado was with more like West Coast IPA stuff. I can't remember the exact year, 2012, 2013, something like that. Alex and I worked on a project together called The Messenger. And, you know, there's this like, oh man, Alex couldn't have said it better. I literally have this like huge, stupid note for myself. Like one of the ways that I describe that hop is this like lemon candy character.
Mhm.
And there's like this, there's this candy character that is super interesting that we ended up pairing with fresh zest. We changed the zest a few different times as we made this beer together, but it was essentially just a very light colored West Coast IPA with this zest finishing it off. And so this pairing was super fun together, and I absolutely loved what that was. So that was my first experience using it, and I've kind of messed around from there as I've gotten different lots and different years of that hop. And it really wasn't until recently that I've revisited it, and we recently did a hazy IPA with it. So we did a hazy double IPA. This was for us, this is like considered a single dry hop, but it's a 4 pound per barrel dry hop. It's we just did El Dorado only, and I walked over to one of my brewers and I'm like, hey, smell this. What does this smell like? And he's like, bro, it smells like fucking Jamba Juice. And it was just like the absolute best like sort of comment to make. But you know, he couldn't be more right that there is this fruit quality that was jumping out of the glass that we haven't, you know, we mess around with a lot of different hop varieties, just like I'm sure the rest of you do. And it was just really fun to see something that sort of hits with a fruit ripeness that doesn't go to that polarizing level that I think a lot of other hop varieties end up hitting. You know, if you start messing around with something like Talus or Sabro, you end up in these overripe fruit characters that are so polarizing that you have to figure out like these insanely low levels to hit them in order to like, you know, not mess up the beer essentially. And so, yeah, I'm pretty excited about continuing to hit Hazy IPA with El Dorado because, yeah, it's kind of a new frontier for me, and I'm pretty amped on the results so far.
Cool. All right. I'll just add in. I also want to ask Shelly and Eric a question too beforehand. But also what I wanted to say was that I've used El Dorado a couple times here. I actually tried a single hop El Dorado IPA once, using in a 1,000-liter batch, altogether 20 kilos of hops, all across the spectrum of use, and it came out wonderful. Like you were talking about candied, lime, orange, like those little candies you get in the stores. They're like the sugar coated ones. I always got from it. It'll go into my next question, but I learned over time that I liked it as better as a complementary hop. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. If Shelly and Eric can come back on for a second. Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Good. My question to you is not really a technical question, but I wanted to ask, like, what kind of feedback do you get from people on the variety itself, and what do you take from it personally?
Yeah, I mean, everything. It's interesting. We're listening to a lot of different viewpoints here, and a lot of them have come together over time. And so, new hop varieties are a strange thing. It takes time for brewers to get used to them. It takes time to learn them. It takes almost what we kind of see is like 8 to 10 years. And it takes that time for us learning how to grow them. And our just from some agronomic side of things, we learn picking windows, and when we pick them and the ripeness when we pick them can have these pretty large aroma shifts. And I think Alex will attest to that because she's been with us for such a long time and selecting, and really learned how to grow the hop and pick it in a certain window that really gives those kind of characteristics that you're talking about. And so the other thing is, as a hop grows, it has what we call baby acreage, the first year acreage, and first year acreage is always, the aromas are muted. So it takes time for a new hop variety for its aromas to get up to kind of a base level, a consistent level. And so we've actually shifted our harvest window out about 7 to 10 days. That we've learned that over the last 4 or 5 years. And when you get out there, it starts getting all those things you're talking about. What I get out of it, just because I was a kid, I used to eat a lot of Trix cereal. I get Trix cereal. So like, okay, if you get like
I was literally going to say Fruit Loops earlier, by the way. I couldn't agree more that there's this like nostalgic cereal like character, fruity cereal character. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so, Stone Brewing has been a big user of El Dorado for a long time, and they throw it in and make little batch brews all the time, and just for pouring in their tap houses and stuff. And those guys have got it down, real low malt bill, like you're talking about, pound the hops in there. And if you get the right aroma and the right picking window, it's like I'm drinking a Fruit Loops or a Trix cereal type of beer, So what I would say is all the things you're saying are all the things we're hearing and backing up and what you want. And so we're working really, really hard with El Dorado to get out into the later harvest windows with everybody that grows it. And the thing that we've learned is that a lot of hops can go over the top. Citra can, on a ripeness scale, can go, nothing against Citra, but it can go over the top sometimes. A lot of different varieties can go over the top. We have not found that with El Dorado. It does not go OG at all. and so we actually have a lot that a large craft brewer selected blindly that was harvested on September 30th. And if you would have told me 10 years ago that we could have harvested El Dorado on September 30th, and that would be blind selected by one of the biggest craft brewers in the U.S., I would have told you were crazy. So a lot of it is listening to you guys, you know, and Alex has walked that journey with us out onto the picking window extremes a little bit. So we are, everything you're saying is everything we like to hear, because it's backing up what we're doing out in the field. And it is amazing. What I can tell you, it's amazing the difference in aromas that some varieties can have from early in the window to late in the window. And so we're really working hard with all the growers to all the El Dorado growers to get themselves way out there, and it's almost impossible to go too late. So it's great feedback. Love to hear it. It's all making sense and jiving with what we're hearing. So
one more question, Eric. Sorry. So because you just mentioned that El Dorado has a late picking season, and then you were talking about, you thought it'd be crazy September. Like, what is it? It's more into late October then, and then compared to other hops.
Well,
how late is that?
Yeah,
I mean, you're like, your Columbus and CTZ is already down by the time you're picking that, like, September 30th El Dorado. That's crazy. That's just crazy talk for an aroma.
Yeah, our normal window, we'll start about August 25th, and we'll be done about September 30th. And so there's a little bit of a saying in the hop industry. It's kind of like nothing good happens in the bar after 2 a.m. Nothing good happens in the hop field after September 30th. So when you drift, we don't even call it October 1st or 2nd. We call it September 33rd. And so, or September 32nd. So generally, when you're pushing into October, there's very few varieties that can push right to the end, and especially aroma varieties, and not go OG. So we kind of think we probably started out early, just window wise. We were probably harvesting it around the 5th to the 10th or the 12th. And now we're more 16th to the 24th. And with very, very, and if you really want to get in that stone fruit candy kind of zone, you really got to get out there about 23rd or 24th. And so we're pushing on everybody to get out there, because that just seems to be what most brewers are looking for out of it. And it really pops on the table. The sample on the table, we've had enough brewer feedback, and we can almost we can almost tell by the color of the hops. We've gotten, I'm not going to say we're a team on sensory at CLS, but we've gotten ourselves trained pretty good the last few years. And we can open the sample and put it on our table. We put four different samples, and almost exclusively as a group, we can just look at the color of it and know if you're getting a totally pearl green El Dorado.
Too green, right?
It's too green. Yep, it's got to have a little edge to it, and so we learned that. So anyway, it's nice because those longer picking windows like that, give a hop a little more legs. It's helpful for us hop growers if we have hops that have more legs and more window opportunities. And then just because we're bound by time, and generally speaking, not good things are happening in October to hops that get harvested out there. So
nice. All right. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric. All right, guys. This kind of goes back into the next question, like we were already discussing. So what other hops do you guys like to use in conjunction with El Dorado, and why? Alice, we'll start with you again. You're in the order.
There are not a lot of hops that I don't use with El Dorado, but Evan's taking notes. Because of that really awesome sweet candied character that you get from it, and we like to strive for balance in our beers, you should take this verbatim, Evan. I'm going to test you on this tomorrow. We'll go with any of the proprietary. So we've done a lot of really great beers using the Mosaics, the Simcoes, the Citras of the world. However, I really love the public hop breeding program. So if you allow me to put El Dorado with like a really great cashmere, you know, a slightly late harvested cashmere hop, which has this like really deep sort of like strawberry jam character to it. First time I played with it was definitely with Centennial. It does incredibly well because you can get, so when Eric's talking about these later harvest windows, and he talks about, I mean, he would definitely refer to three weavers. And when I walk in and I look at a cut and I was like, no, let this hang for another like 4 days, 5 days. Show me this hop in a week, right? When it's been a little bit more developed, when you can lean on that really amazing like fruit salad, fruit cocktail sort of character you get out of El Dorado, where you don't have to overpower it with the mosaics or the citras. Not to say it doesn't work really well with them, because it does. But I don't know. I guess I'm an equal opportunist, and I really love the public hop growing. I love public hop. So throw it in with some cashmere if you can get some cashmere. Don't forsake those, from Siegel Ranch, some high oil Cascades. Or even Cascade. Comet has just, I think there's been so much focus on Comet as a hop in the previous years, where they're focusing on the proper picking window for a variety like that, where you can meld together the citrus character of El Dorado, and you can get some of the stone fruit, and then this really cool lime pear thing you get going on with Comet, to make some great beers. And don't forget what the yeast can do with biotransformation. That's all I can say. Like, please dry hop your beers at fermentation temperature.
All right. Avi?
Yeah, in terms of some other hops we use, it's a lot of Simcoe that goes into a few of our products. We did like 100% Centennial White IPA recently, and that was pretty nice. But I just wanted to add that every time I come back home to the States, I kind of realize that the craft beer heads acknowledge craft beer as an agricultural product, right? And so it's really inspiring hearing like Alexandra and Evan talk about these hops, because they've been to the farms, and hearing Shelly and everyone at CLS talk about them. It's really inspiring. I wish we had the opportunity in Thailand to, experience these hops at different periods in their harvest and be able to make up our own minds, because honestly, in Thailand, hops is kind of like a branding thing. And I want to stray away from that a bit, but I have to also reinforce it a bit. People know Citra, people know Mosaic, Galaxy, and they do make some good beers, but yeah, maybe it's also some supplier relations. Like sometimes, we only get these hops from the year 2019. So it's like, all right, I see a lot of brewers want to try cryo things, and we're just kind of committed to keep going down our path. But yeah, I wish we had some more access to seasonality within the hop growing. And yeah, maybe I can take a trip up to Yakima one day and we can make that happen. But
Hopefully we should by this fall. Hopefully.
Yeah,
We could be able to
definitely.
do that. Yeah.
I'm
Andrew,
waiting
what
for the
about
invite, Shelly.
Right.
Shelly says yes.
We're all waiting,
there.
Shelly. Okay. Andrew, how about you, mate?
I'm really glad that Evan said Fruit Loops, because that's what it fucking is, man. I didn't realize it until you said it. I'm like, yeah, it's Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely liked using it with like the Mosaic and the Motueka. I think it also would be kind of a good like with the late hop and the dry hop. Anywhere you would put like Cascade, you could use this if you want it to be more fruity, but not like grapefruit. Like Cascade tends to roll that way. Yeah, like I said, I'm just starting to have fun with things. This is actually the first time I've been back in like the US, quotation marks on that, in about 4 years. So a lot of me getting back in the loop on stuff has been going to like Charles's conference, like to Sea Brew and all that, and trying the new things there. And I'm super, super jealous that you guys can just pop by a hop farm and hang out and have fun and just root through everything they've got out there. So super jealous with that. But yeah, anything fruity. Yeah, like the Motueka, the Rectau, even like Galaxy. I've got a bunch of Galaxy coming this way. So I think I'm gonna to kind of goof around with that and the El Dorado here in the coming months.
Awesome. All right, Evan, to you, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I like it most as a compliment to non-hops. So, think fresh or the toasted coconut, zests. Like, there's this candy element to what El Dorado is that I think that like ends up being such a great accompaniment to, weird stuff. Milkshake IPAs and wait, hold on. I think there's a frog in there. There's a frog in there. Sorry. Yeah, milkshake IPAs and a range of these other sort of weird things to where like you're pairing that candy element with other like real ingredients. Not to say that hops aren't real ingredients. That's kind of weird way to put it, but like I think that that's the thing that I'm personally the most excited about currently. For West Coast IPA and stuff like that, I think there's that candy element to me can be something that's absolutely enticing, and but I think it like truly sings better, in my opinion, in Hazy IPA. Alex mentioned biotransformation, and absolutely, like people talk about mango for Citra, and I don't disagree with what that is, but like some biotransformation with El Dorado, I think brings out more mango character than Citra can like they can any day. And so I think that there's like these certain things that like you can mess around with this hop that's pretty fun. But yeah, I get pretty excited about continuing to pair that with other things other than hops.
Cool. All right. Some of my experiences and things I like to use is Evan. You mentioned before, like some of the new breeds like Sabro and Talus. I became a huge fan of Sabro in the past like 3 years. Huge fan. I get everything from the lime, coconut, vanilla from it. But after watching a seminar with Yakima Chief and learning how to get all those separate flavors, I tried a Sabro El Dorado IPA once with just the Sabro in the whirlpool to get that lime flavor, and then just dry hopped it with El Dorado afterwards. And like you said, it was that combination of, like you guys say, that the mango. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've ever had Fruit Loops in my life, so I can't tell you what that tastes like. I was a Cookie Crisp fan as a kid, so the combination of the lime and the like I get the candied apricots, things like that from the El Dorado. I just thought that was, especially when everybody thinks, when they first think Sabro, they think coconut, like, and that is true. But heavy in the whirlpool, that lime comes out real strong. And yeah, I thought it was a delicious beer. I think we are lucky here in Hong Kong. The Yakima Chief's Asia office. I mean, it's actually like 2 blocks behind where I live right now. So I could just pop in there anytime and just talk and just say, hey, can we try this or can we try that with pretty ease. And we did actually this year in Hong Kong have our first wet hop beer made by 2 breweries with Talus with Second Draft and Carbon Brews. So, and Double Haven too as well. Yeah. So we're gonna kind of go on to the last question, but it's kind of a let's take it easy here. Any ideas you guys have in the future for experimental uses with El Dorado, or any unconventional ways you would try to use it, or anything like that? Evan, you moved around the screen, so we'll start with you.
Well, I just feel like I talked too early and I probably should have looked at the list of questions first. But yeah, I
We're
guess
talking about
like
the messenger, right? Like we're
no, totally. Like, I think that
yeah.
there's like this
We
like
still
this
use El Dorado in that beer too.
the pairing
Where-
with fruit is so dope
Mhm.
because there's like already so much of this candy like character coming through that like just kind of ends up being like like one of the fun things to pair with like James, you were talking about Sabro, and it's like we pair Sabro with coconut beers sometimes too, and I think that there's this certain overripe thing that comes like with what those are that I think with El Dorado it ends up just being this like fun fruit profile that just works really well. But yeah, I feel like the um, that ends up being maybe the most unconventional or newly conventional way to use this.
Okay, cool. Alex, how about you?
Well, having made that beer with Evan, the messenger, which we continue to make, and we continue to put El Dorado into it because it's a beer that's it's our ode to the Southern California citrus harvest, which happens in the winter. So it's our winter beer because that's when all the obscure stuff is harvested, where we're using Buddha's hand and California grown yuzu and these things that have inherently these fruits are so similar to like the aromatic profile that you get out of El Dorado. So we go for the complementary pairing on that. And it just where the zest itself is really sharp, the hop can help soften it out. What I really like though is the idea of blending it with some other fruit too. I've talked with with Shelly about this where they do soft fruits and like apricots and things like that. So maybe pairing El Dorado with more of the stone fruit side of the spectrum of aroma, not necessarily the citrus side. So that would just be moving this sort of concept of a fruited IPA more into like the stone fruit part of the harvest and not the citrus part of the harvest, which I think the hop itself could take on a completely new life.
All right. Awesome. Andrew?
Yeah, I definitely want to start using more fruit and everything, especially with this hop. I mean, it just makes sense. I'm unfortunately right now I'm a little bit limited because right there at the start of the pandemic, it's before I came on at Guam Brewery, they just kind of shut everything down for a full reset before I came out here. So I don't have a tap room right now. So using a lot of that fruit, I definitely have to wait on because, like rightfully so, I'm a bit of a control freak and I don't trust grocery stores. Because if I'm going to be doing that and playing around with all these like fresh ingredients, like I don't want some like stock boy to leave this in a back room for like 3 months and then stick it on a shelf and then everyone's real sad about how the beer tastes, and they're not going to blame the store. It's never the store's fault. It's the brewer, which is totally true, because if your beer tastes bad for any reason, like that means you're not on it enough. So yeah, really, I'm just waiting another couple of months so I can get that thing back up and running, and then we're gonna fuck around and find out for sure. But yeah, I think definitely like using the fruits and those fruited IPAs, which a couple of years ago would have been heresy, but like, man, they sell, and I like money, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with it.
I think we all love money here. So, Avi, what's your opinions now? Do you like money?
Man, I love it. I don't get up without it. But yeah, so the El Dorado went really well in our kind of West Coast pale format with the Amarillo and Columbus to supplement it. And then I'm thinking as a complement to that kind of hard candy sort of flavor, maybe a watermelon wheat beer. That sounds really nice in Thailand. And I think El Dorado is probably the perfect hop to really experiment with that. And then as a counterpoint, maybe a more even traditional lager where you're using only noble hops. It's not really something I've done a lot of research into, but I just thought it could be cool. I'll try to find some commercial things that are maybe can give me some like perspective on that, or just do some homebrew batches. But yeah, and then I was also thinking maybe some in sour. We have a brewery in my part of LA called Celador that does these amazing sour beers, and they're really unique with their ingredients. And I think I had a sour beer that had this fruit called fluot. So it's like a plum apricot or something. I hope Alexandra or Evan can.
No, that's exactly it. It's a plum
What is
apricot hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just at Russian River, and they had this amazing sour with that too. So I'm thinking this could kind of highlight, maybe in small doses or as a centerpiece, but I get, from what I get in Thailand, some of that apricot-y, kind of jammy, candy-ish from RL Dorado. So I think that'd be awesome to do like a really fresh, sour Pluot beer with that.
Good. Awesome. All right.
Whatever that fruit is.
Whatever that is. All right. Yeah, I
Grown
think
very widely in the state of California, by the way. There's many
it?
different varieties of pluots. They do not come in commercial form. You have to buy them. You have to process them. Their pits are very sharp. They will cut your
Do you have
fingers
any?
through all your
do you have any
gloves.
Three Weavers?
We don't have any now, but we have made
I just want
pluot
to
beer.
see one.
And that
I wanna
Russian
see
River
one.
beer compunction, it just looks like a plum. Sometimes they're mottled
Yeah.
in color. They're
Okay,
yellow
okay.
and orange and pink and purple. They're beautiful. But that Russian River beer compunction is
Is
beautiful.
it?
Do love me some pluots. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. We're just about finished up here. I'm just gonna go back around the room again and just if anybody has any last words or anything, and then we'll get some last words from Eric and Shelley too as well. But Evan, we'll start with you, bud. All right.
Yeah, I thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I hope I gave some good information at some point or another. But anyway, be well out there.
Awesome. Alex.
Probably see you again soon.
All right.
Same bat
Awesome.
time, same bat station. Is that the thing?
Different world
Batman
times,
thing.
maybe. So yeah. All right. Andrew.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you guys are ever in the neighborhood, feel free to drop by.
Yes. And Avi.
Yeah, it's been a learning experience for me, and I'm really happy to be on a panel with Andrew, who I love, and some LA heavyweights. So
Nice.
thank you. Yeah, and Shelley, thank you for organizing, and Charles. So thanks.
Awesome. All right, Shelley and Eric.
Yeah, thank you guys. Cheers to everybody.
Yeah,
And
cheers.
want to thank all the brewers who joined us, and Charles and the Asia Brewers Network to broadcast this panel. And cheers to everybody.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Yeah. Thank you,
right.
everyone, for being a part of this.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you, anybody that's watching or is going to watch this later. Thank you, Charles, for allowing me to do this and for having everybody here today. Awesome job, guys. This is a great talk. I learned a lot. And hopefully we can do something like this again soon. All right, guys.
Thank you, James.
So, thank you, guys. So that will conclude today's talk for the El Dorado Hop on the Asia Brewers Network. And please tune again soon, guys. All right. Thank you very much. And have a great day or evening, guys. All right.